Hey, yo, Jesus. Yeah. Man, NCAA crazy. You got LSU? You got LSU going anywhere this tournament? No? Okay. Yeah, man, I'll hit you up later. Yeah. Okay. Hampton coach is calling you? My bad. All right, I'll let you go.
Welcome to Inside Circle. That pretty much sums it up, how this show is going to be. I'm Mark Webster.
I'm Cameron Brown.
And I'm Joseph Goodpaster.
That's Tommy Poor.
Woo! And we're going to start with Bracketology.
Bracketology special. Get it popping for us, Joseph.
All right, we're going to start by giving our insight on upsets that we personally have and upsets that we believe they're going to happen. We're going to start with the Midwest. Mark, what do you have?
Okay, Midwest, round of 64. I really like Texas. Although they have not been playing to their potential, I feel like that they have like a new life. Everyone's 0-0.
Hey, true.
So I like Texas to move on, and pretty much out of the other Midwest, I don't really see anything else spectacular happening in the round of 64. What's your take, Cam?
Midwest, it's kind of hard to see an upset over there. Outside of Texas and Butler, I think Butler's going to get them because of their defense. Honestly, Butler's
they have good defense.
Great defense. They're back at the point they were at when they had Brad Stevens right now and a really good competitive team. I don't know if you can count Cincinnati and Purdue at an upset. They're both, ranked. I mean, they're both ranked about the same. If not Texas and Butler, I'd have to go with Buffalo beating West Virginia. They have a good defense. I'm a big defensive guy.
Right.
So, Buffalo has a really good defensive team, and Bobby Hurley is a coach. He was a gritty player for Duke when he played. You know what I mean? He went after shorter guys, so he had to go a little bit harder, and that's what he's instilled into his team. So, Midwest, my upset, probably Buffalo, so pick Buffalo.
What about you, Joe?
Well, my upset is what I can give is Texas over Butler, number 11 over 6, because I don't think any team other than Texas ranked that low can do much damage.
And Texas is underranked, by the way. They shouldn't be ranked 11. Actually, should they even be in the tournament?
Yes,
yeah,
they should.
Absolutely.
Also, you have to keep your eye on Valparaiso, too. We won't get into too much depth about that, but that's a sleeper team.
I ain't about to beat Valparaiso, but...
All right, well, Cameron, here, we'll start with you for the West now.
West? I don't know if you can count it as a sleeper team because they're a number 2 seed, but everybody just giving the West to Wisconsin. Why? Arizona's in the West. I mean, everybody, you hear how much of a fan I am of Stanley Johnson. Right. If we're not going to, he's a number 2 seed, so I don't know if we're going to count that as an upset or whatever. But I mean, I think Ole Miss could beat Xavier. Ohio State being ranked 10th. No, I got Ohio State beating VCU as my upset because Ohio State, I don't think they're a 10 seed. I think they're better than a 10 seed. They're one of the best guards in the country, in my opinion. And so.
Yeah. The NCAA did a terrible job with these teams such as this, like in the Midwest, for example. Wichita State being a 7 seed, they're trying to troll the Jayhawks of Kansas, but it's not going to happen because KU's going to go far. But anyways, we can go back to the West. I'm going to have to go with probably Ole Miss too because I like the way how they played against Kentucky earlier in the season.
It was impressive.
That team surprised me, so I'm going to go with Ole Miss being my upset in the West. How about you, Joe?
Me, I have actually North Carolina. Like I know they're ranked number 4, but they had a really up and down season. Taking some big wins, but also losing some close and not really impressive games. So I have North Carolina actually making it to my Elite 8 or Sweet 16. Beating some big teams like Arkansas, but then Harvard.
No way, man.
Wait,
Arkansas being a big team compared to North Carolina.
Well, I mean, like they give like competition, or like they're gonna have a good run against.
You're right. Arkansas is what Mark doesn't know is Arkansas is a good team. They're in the SEC.
Well,
so you said they're in the
SEC football.
They're in the SEC. You're right. They're in the SEC, so it makes it seem like they're not that good, but they will run with anybody. Arkansas is an athletic team, and they will run with anybody. Athletically, they're just as gifted as anybody else. I mean, Kentucky beat both teams by a lot, so who knows what's going to happen. But
well, I mean, I think we're like undermining Arkansas's potential and kind of what they have, given that they actually made it to the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, we say Arkansas.
They were 23, they're 20th in the nation, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, like we don't like look at Arkansas as a big name simply because we don't. Basketball doesn't come to mind when we say Arkansas. Like I mean, they beat teams out like Michigan, and that's a basketball school necessarily.
All right, let's take a look at the South. Let's see what we got in the South.
Some upsets, Cameron.
Yeah, you can start with Cam.
At the South, I mean, Robert Morris is going to be Duke. UCLA could beat SMU, possibly. They both have good coaches in Larry Brown and Steve Alford. UCLA has potential to be good. The Bruins team they've played bad. Some people don't think they should have made the tournament, but I see a lot of potential in those guys, and I like the 11-6 matchup, UCLA SMU. I'm not saying UCLA will win, but they have the potential to win.
To get the upset?
Yeah, and St. John's also has the potential to beat San Diego State for sure. I think St. John's is a better team than San Diego State.
So you want to roll with St. John's?
Or UCLA. Yeah.
Or UCLA.
All right, well, Mark, what do you have?
You guys might think I'm a little crazy here, but I'm going to go with Eastern Washington.
Beating Georgetown?
Yes. If you look at Georgetown's history over the tournament, going back about, 10 or so years ago, through that time span, they have not been productive at all. It was like round of 32 exit, round of 64 exit. Eastern Washington beat Indiana in Indiana. This team's a sleeper. This is the sleeper.
The same IU team that shouldn't have made the tournament?
Well, you can't say that. They're in the Big Ten. It's a hard league.
They shouldn't have made
compared
the
to
tournament.
like the SEC.
Just in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that is your opinion, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go Eastern Washington.
All right. Well, me, I personally have a big one here. I mean, I have Davidson making quite a run. I have them making it to the Elite
Yeah,
Eight,
baby.
beating Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. But I mean, that's just my sleeper team, and I have them losing to SMU.
You know, Steph Curry is in the NBA now, right? All right. No, I mean, JK. I kind of feel you were. Like I said, Davidson or no, I didn't say Davidson. Davidson has the potential to beat some teams too. I just don't see them being better than the number 2 seed Gonzaga. Or, I mean, like it's any given night, any team can have a bad night, any team can have a good night. So I see where you're coming from.
I mean, I just feel like they play similar to last year's Dayton team that made an impressive run, and no one had them making it as far as they did. And I just feel Davidson has the potential to be like a Dayton team last year and make a far run.
I feel you. Right. Let's go to this East. Upset in the East. I already know who I like up there.
We already know who Joseph's going to like too.
Unless you.
Well, let's start with Joseph then. Who you like?
All right, well, I actually don't have LSU me as an upset necessarily, but I have them winning a game. But my big upset is actually Michigan State. All right, yeah, they're my favorite team, but the way they played against Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament,
I agree.
And just how they showed up in that tournament, a tournament nonetheless. But Tom Izzo can get his guys straightened up and make a run in the NCAA tournament, and I have them beating Virginia to move on against Northern Iowa in the Elite Eight and losing to Northern Iowa. That's my upset.
Mark, you got next?
You can go.
You sure?
Yeah, you can go.
All right, so we're going to go on and talk about an NC State team who's an ACC, right? Who plays some of the best top talents in the country in Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, and beat those guys, right? NC State has the potential to play with anybody. Like I've said, I'm pretty sure I said last week. I don't remember, but I might have said this last week. They have the potential to beat Villanova. They beat Duke. They beat North Carolina. They beat Louisville, and they almost beat Kentucky. This NC State team gets in their own head. They have the potential to play with anybody. It's just when, I feel like there's so many egos over there. I'm not personally at NC State, so I don't know what's actually going on in those practices. But I see a team like this, and I see a team with so many egos that are just like, I'm the best. But if they all just gel together, they could be ranked top in the country. Not number one, of course, but that top half of the country, because NC State has the talent and they have the potential to play. Like I said, they beat a Duke, a Louisville, and a North Carolina. This season, as of this season, they beat three of some of the top teams in the country, and in their conference, the ACC. Yeah. NC State, North Carolina made it to the championship ACC. So I think North Carolina State is going to beat LSU. I think that they can beat Villanova, the number 1 seed Villanova. I can see it happening if they play together. Because are we going to argue that Duke's better than Villanova? Or do you guys agree Duke's better than Villanova, right? Yeah. Louisville, the way they're playing right now, maybe not. Louisville in the first half of the season, they were better than Villanova. I don't think we're going to argue that either. I'm not sure if you guys do or not. And then there's a North Carolina who made it to the ACC championship. They beat them also. So I think if anybody's going to make some noise, it will be North Carolina State coming out of the East. And also, Georgia, big SEC guy myself, so Georgia could potentially beat Michigan State. But going off what you just said, Michigan State definitely has that win. But North Carolina State, I like to see them make some noise this tournament.
All right. I somewhat agree with Cameron on that, but I'm just going to look at the small matchups. Like, okay, you can't count out Louisville. I mean, you got Rick Pitino there as a coach. He'll get his boys ready. And you have Harold down low, Montrezl Harrell down there?
Yeah, Montrezl Harrell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to have to probably agree with Joe. Michigan State can probably make it to, like, the second round because Virginia, you forgot they have to play Virginia. You didn't know that, right?
Yeah, but
You
I
see
mean,
how
like they
that was-
upset them last year.
Who's Virginia?
Yeah, I
They're missing
understand.
somebody. They're missing a big player. Oh no, he's back. He's just playing injured right now by his wrist.
But anyways, okay, I have them losing to Virginia. So basically, I say probably maybe a team like Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Northern Iowa.
Hey,
I mean, they gave Wichita State all they can handle.
True.
I feel like that they're just ready. They're ready.
So who's your Elite Eight picks?
Okay.
Who do you guys see in Elite Eight from each bracket?
Start with the Midwest.
Start with the Midwest again. Back with my boys. Go ahead and say the name that I like to hear.
All right, I have Kentucky.
Oh, there it is. There it is. All right.
All right, for the Midwest, I have Kentucky and Notre Dame. I'm actually torn between these two teams, Kentucky and Notre Dame, because what Notre Dame can do and what they have done. I mean, like we look at their schedule, and they have had a really hard schedule, and impressive to say the least. Then they beat Duke 3 out of the 4 times they played them, and Duke obviously is a Final Four team this year and a powerhouse. So if anyone can beat Kentucky by more than 10, I'm gonna say is Notre Dame because they fight.
I agree. Mark, gonna go ahead and go next, or want me to go ahead and go next?
You go ahead next.
Because you know what I'm going to say. I agree totally with Joseph. It's going to be Kentucky and Notre Dame. Kansas, respect, have the #1 hardest schedule in the NCAA.
Right.
Hardest schedule in the NCAA. They started the season off against a really good Kentucky team, and these guys are still trying to get together. 32-point victory.
Right.
You know what I mean? And but they had Cliff Alexander at this time.
Yeah.
Who's one of their better players to me. Me and you went to the Kentucky-Kansas game.
Right.
We saw these guys play. Cliff Alexander was such a big part of their offense that game. Without Cliff, it's going to be hard for them to match up with teams like Notre Dame. I know they're bigger than Notre Dame, but what Notre Dame does is they're so smart. They use their lack of size as an advantage, and that's really impressive. I see Notre Dame and Kentucky as my Elite Eight. I don't think Kentucky has any challenges. If Cincinnati beats Purdue, then Kentucky and Cincinnati, Kentucky's going to blow past that one. Purdue's going to be a little bit more harder because they have 2 7-footers. And I don't think they haven't played anybody with 2 7-footers yet. I think Kentucky's 7-footers are better, which is, without an argument. And they beat West Virginia also. Kentucky beats West Virginia also. I don't know who would argue with that also. And I see Notre Dame beating Wichita State in the Sweet 16 because Kansas loses to Wichita State, and I have Notre Dame and Kentucky Elite Eight. Kentucky winning, of course.
All right.
Okay, I've been waiting for this. Okay, first of all this talk about Cliff Alexander is really not a big deal because he only averaged 7.1 a game.
His presence.
His presence is somewhat key, but they also have other big men like Perrios, who is recovering from an injury. From a knee injury, but they also have other big men like Jamari Traylor and then Landis Lucas. They've been playing numbers, like really good numbers so far. And it also comes down to the guard play of Kansas. I'd rather choose Kansas guards than Notre Dame's guards. And then although Notre Dame might be in the ACC, Kansas is in the Big 12 too. So it's not a blowover game.
So what about Jeremy Grant?
Okay, Jeremy Grant is a good player.
17 points and 7 assists a game. Guard play?
Right, guard play, but can he match up with a guy like Wayne Selden?
Yeah,
Can he defend a guy like?
key.
Yeah, so it goes down to matchup. Not just one player can win that game. I watched him play Syracuse, and they struggled at the guard.
He matched up with Quinn Cook and Tyus Jones. They let Jaleel Okafor score his 20, and then they locked down the guards. That's how they beat Duke.
Right, but that's just me. Being a Kansas fan, I've watched them like every game.
You're right.
I haven't watched Notre Dame every game other than when they play Syracuse.
You've seen more than
and also when they play Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh has decent guards.
You're right.
It's just gonna come down to that. So I have Kansas passing Notre Dame in the Sweet 16.
Who are they playing? They're
going to be playing Kentucky.
Whoa!
They back to November 18th. Kansas team got buried by Kentucky.
Okay,
so let me finish this. Any other team that gets beat by 32 points at over, like pretty much everyone there was Kentucky fans. Kansas has that. They're gonna have that in their mind. Like, hey, we're not about to lose again, and that's gonna lead to the Jayhawks going to the Final Four back in Indianapolis. Rock chalk, baby. Rock chalk.
All right. Well, I mean, going back to that one game, where they lost by 32, it was. All right, so let's look at Duke. So one win against Notre Dame. They beat them by 30. They creamed them.
Are we still in the Midwest?
We're still in the Midwest. But Duke beat Notre Dame by 30 points, and the other matchups Notre Dame won. So I mean, that one matchup with 32 points was just a fluke.
No, fluke. No.
Well, I can't say Kentucky is talented.
We gotta move on.
Yeah. Okay.
We gotta move on.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so we're going to move on to the West. Elite Eight for the West. Cameron, we'll start with you.
Me first?
Yeah.
Arizona, Wisconsin. That's pretty easy for me. Wisconsin's the only tough challenge before Arizona's going to be North Carolina. Wisconsin's going to win that game. I like North Carolina, but Wisconsin's just too good, especially for God bless you.
Bless you.
God bless you. And then Arizona's going to play Ohio State, and they're going to scrape past Ohio State. Arizona is going to beat Wisconsin, in my opinion. Arizona has Stanley Johnson, who I'm such a big fan of. I cannot express that anymore. Stanley Johnson's so good. Wisconsin, I know they have Frank Kaminsky. So, but yeah, I got Arizona and Wisconsin.
Yeah, same here, and I'm just going to agree with you on all your points because they're spot on.
And I got Wisconsin and actually Baylor because Baylor has good defense, and as you said earlier, Cameron, defense wins championships. So
now let's move on to the South.
Who's gonna start that off? I mean, Sauce. Yeah, Sauce. Who's starting that off?
I'll start it off. I'm gonna have to go with Duke and probably Iowa State. I know it might seem a little bit Big 12 bias, but Iowa State, George Niang, they have big men down low. But yeah, I'm gonna go with those two teams, Duke and Iowa State.
I agree.
All right, me. I actually have a Duke and Davidson.
Okay,
but that's just because they're my Cinderella team this year, and I believe they can make some noise. All right, let's move on to the East.
I got Duke and Iowa State. I'm sorry. I got Duke and Iowa State.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine, dude. No, I agree. Let's get to this East. I like the East.
Oh.
All right, me. I have Northern Iowa. As I said, they're definitely going to make some noise, and a big win for them. I have is against Villanova. But then I have Michigan State again, another sleeper team. Northern Iowa against Michigan State for my Elite Eight. Mark,
I say Virginia and Northern Iowa.
Yeah. I have Louisville. I'm sorry, North Carolina State versus Louisville, Sweet 16. Louisville gets away. With a win, and they're gonna show. Montrezl's gonna show why he's one of the best players in the country. And who do they play? They play a Virginia team that knows what defense is. And like I've been saying, defense is the key. So it's going to be Virginia and Louisville, with Virginia coming out with a win.
All right, so that'll sum up the show. So we gave you some of our upset picks for the tournament so far, and we gave you a thought up to the Elite Eight, and then we're going to come back right before the Elite Eight and tell you kind of what we got wrong, and then our future picks for the Final Four and champion.
See us after spring break. Peace.
All right, cool. Yeah, you guys write this.